I want to share a concept called negative averment. It's the most powerful tool I've ever come across that can be used to deal with the police and magistrates in their court systems, and you can even use it on paperwork or dealing with anyone who is part of the cabal, matrix, evil system that is trying to enslave you, whether knowingly or unconsciously. I'll start with some concrete examples and then you'll start to see the principles behind this concept. Right, so say I'm driving in Australia in my van and I've got my private plates on and a cop pulls me over. And the cop's going to say something like, you can't be driving with those plates, or where's your license, where's the rego for Queensland, whatever. And I can say something like, it doesn't have to be verbatim, but something like this. I'm glad you mentioned that. I've been asking everyone and reading all the laws I can. I can't find any which state I can't do this. Are you able to show me the law which says that? And they'd probably say something like, yeah, the Road Safety Act, or this or that. And then you can just say, well, how is that applicable to me? Can you show me where that's applicable to me? Well, sorry, I'm actually going past the negative averment. That's some extra concepts added in. But let me just give you some first concretes of how you can use this, and then I'll explain those further aspects to it. The cop says, have you got a driver's license? You say, I wasn't aware I required one. Can you show me evidence that says I'm required to have a driver's license? So that's an example. Another example, you can say, they say, yes, our legislation is applicable to you, right? And you say, well, I'm not aware of any evidence proving I identify as an entity which is subject to your legislation. Are you? Another example, I'm not aware of any proof demonstrating I identify as an entity to which your laws are applicable. And then you could say this to a cop or a magistrate. Another example, I haven't found any evidence that proves your law is applicable to anything but legal entities. Can you confirm my findings are incorrect? Oh, that one's like extra powerful. So you see, what this is doing, instead of saying, I don't have to have a driver's license, I don't have to have your registration, because why wouldn't you say that? Even though it's true, why wouldn't you say that? Because you're making a claim. And you need to back up that claim. Sometimes it's unavoidable and you do need to make claims, but when you don't have to, don't do it, right? You want to put the onus of proof back onto them without being controversial, without getting into positive or negative territory. You want to do it without pissing them off, making them vengeful or feel stupid, because then they've got guns and they've got an army of dumb people, right? They'll attack you. I talk about these people like because they are evil and they're stupid and they have no empathy, but when I'm talking to them face to face, it's very different, right? This is just a video on YouTube. You don't want them to feel stupid, vengeful. You want to come from a place of peace and honor, and you want to be respectful. You don't want to make claims. You want to put the onus of proof back onto them, and you don't want to say, again, your claims, I know I don't have to have a driver's license. Can you prove to me? You say, well, I'm not aware. I haven't found any evidence. I'm not sure about that. I've asked everywhere. I've looked everywhere. I've been studying this topic for many years, and I've spoken to many other police officers and magistrates and lawyers. No one seems to be able to give me an answer or show me specifically what I'm looking for. You're phrasing it like that, and it's just fucking beautiful, right? Because you're not arguing. You're not being contemptuous. You're not irritating them, because that's what happens all the time. People say stuff because people are passionate, they're angry, that they're fucking stuck in this matrix evil nightmare, right? This nightmarish world, and they've got these fucking road privateers, these just gang members who are harassing them. They've got these fucking corrupt members of the fucking public who are meant to stand for justice and law and order, harassing them and trying to just eat their souls and shit. And yeah, rightfully so, you get passionate, you get angry. But it's not good to show them that, because then they just go, contempt of court, let's lock you up. Oh, he's resisting arrest, let's attack him, let's get him. So you have to really take the ethical high ground and be very clever and use their systems back against them. Because some of the best lawyers would use this strategy in court to win cases. And it's like psychological tricks in a way. Well, it's not really a trick, it's just a manner of speaking, which is very hard to fight against. Because, well, ultimately, they don't have jurisdiction over you, right? So it's like, I haven't found any evidence that proves your law, or let's say with the driver's license, let's come back to that one. I haven't found any evidence, and you're telling the truth, because you've actually looked. There is no evidence, there is no proof that you need a driver's license. There's only evidence that drivers, taxpayers, citizens, members of the public, legal fictions, agents of the state, legal instruments, just read their legislation from every state or country, wherever you are. None of it is applicable to men and women. And even if it was applicable to men and women, then you could just say, well, I'm not actually a man or woman. You're a conscious spirit that is inhabiting the body of a man or woman. You could go there, and even if they said, well, it's applicable to spirits, there's just one step further, because then you can go, well, I didn't agree to this contract. I simply did not agree to this contract. It's like a gym fining you for not putting weights back on the rack when, one, you didn't even go into the gym to take those weights off the rack, and two, you didn't sign up to that gym. McDonald's doesn't have the right to bloody fine you for driving down the street without a seatbelt, because you got nothing to do with McDonald's. It's the same thing with the police and the magistrates and their systems. You got nothing to do with them. You haven't committed a crime. You've just breached one of their policies, but you didn't agree to be bound by their policies. It's just nonsensical. So that's why I use this system of negative averment, and this is the way I've heard it explained to me by Robert Michael from the House of Marcus. He's got a good YouTube channel with a few videos and a membership online, maybe $50 a month or so. Highly recommend that. He's got some really detailed content, and he calls it negative averment, though maybe in the legal system their definition of how they explain it is different to what I'm explaining it, but as long as you're understanding the principles and how you can create your own concretes of, I'm not aware of any evidence proving I identify as an entity which is subject to legislation on you, when you could just write that stuff out yourself. They're the concretes, right? And the principle is like, the principle behind those concretes. As I'm saying, you're not making any claims, you're putting the onus back onto them. I'm not aware. It comes, essentially, when you're talking to them, it's about status and applicability, right? Because their laws only create an obligation or liability. There's only like obligation, liability, or contract or joinder applicability when you identify as these. It's like when you accidentally make those joinders, and you can do that by accepting the title of Sir and Mr. and the last name, legal fiction, all that kind of stuff. Use their instruments in the wrong way. By that I mean a driver's license or Red Joe, or because there are ways you could use even their instruments in a way that's detached. That's for another time. If a cop pulled you over and said, well, where's your driver's license? Say, well, I'm not aware, I wasn't aware that in my capacity as a man, that I was required to have a driver's license. He says, oh, well, the Road Safety Act, blah, 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 blah. And that's what they're going to say, like almost guaranteed. Says that you do. Oh, I've read that actually, and still I can't find where it's applicable to me as a man or woman, or you could just say even me. You could have it printed out, the whatever state you're in, and have where it says who it's applicable to, right? Because it's not going to say men and women. Sometimes they might even say everyone, but you can't say everyone because there's always exceptions, and that's why it goes below everyone and says includes. Like, if it actually was applicable to everyone, and that's just ridiculous. What, it's applicable to bloody the Queen driving in England, or bloody an Indian in the Taj Mahal? Like, that you can't do. That's just ridiculous. You can't say everyone. You need to be very specific about, if you're writing law, if you're a professional organization. They are very professional, they're just bloody evil professional. It needs to be very clear. And even if they did show you the applicability, well, then you need to have evidence. Well, I'm not aware of any evidence that says I entered into that contract, because an ethical and proper contract has termination clauses. Obviously. It's like, imagine you signed up to a gym and they didn't have a termination clause and you couldn't exit that contract. Oh, no, sorry, you're going to be paying $15 a week for the rest of your life at Jet's gym. It's like, well, I didn't sign up in the first place. I don't want to go, even if I did sign up, I don't want to go to this gym anymore. It's crap. I'm not paying you $15 a week anymore. But the gym says, oh, no, you have to, otherwise we're going to lock you up. Ah, get fucked, that's bullshit. So it's the same exact thing with their system. So I don't have any evidence. Prove it to me. The onus of proof is back onto you. And obviously that's not going to get the cops to just drop it like that. Oh, you might. But I sincerely doubt it, and they're going to just say, well, you're going to have to go to court and argue against the magistrate with it. Oh, no worries. Yeah, I've spoken to many magistrates about this topic in the past, and none of them seem to have an answer for me, and they just normally kick me out of the court. Or they, yeah, well, that's what happened to me. Oh, the cops just going to, they're going to grumble, and they're not going to know anything really. They'll just either give you a fine or a court summons, and then they'll go on their merry way, and you just wait till they leave, and then you drive off and continue your life like normal. Then you go to court, or you figure out how to email the court and not go at all. That would be even better. Or you just go to court, and then you can use the exact same strategy. The last time I went to court in the previous video, I explained that. I didn't even need to say any of this stuff. I just didn't identify as a legal fiction and just said I was the private man, James the Traveller, which is obviously a very different name to my legal fiction name, so created a total separation, and that's why I really like creating your own name, a chosen name. My last name is now a chosen name. I still have my first name as a given name, but the last name is a chosen name, and that's what I'm known by. But I still have that legal fiction as an instrument. I still have and use that because you need a bank account, unfortunately, in this world, so I still have to use that tool to survive, really, to live in this fucking world. Alright, so hopefully that concept of negative averment makes sense right now, because that is your fucking number one weapon. That is the atom bomb of the legal world. It is the atom bomb, it is the sniper rifle, it is the sword, the bow and arrow, the axe, it's all your weapons right there. It's your shield, it is your armor. Yeah, it's like a weapon, shield, and armor all in one. That's how powerful this concept is. And if you don't understand that yet, you need to keep studying it, because that is the best tool, because you can always just keep on falling back to that. And it keeps on putting the onus of proof back onto them. And you're doing it in a way which is so difficult for them to say you're contempt, or we're going to lock you up, or to do anything nasty against you, because you're not fighting, you're not arguing, you're being polite, you're being respectful, you're coming from peace, coming from honor. You could write this in letters to lawyers, you could write it rebutting fines, you could do all sorts of things. It's like, oh, I've done my due diligence, I've looked and looked, I've read all your stuff, I can't find any evidence. Can you confirm my findings are incorrect? And obviously they fucking can't. How are they meant to respond to that? How are they meant to respond to that? Because it's just going to expose the fraud. If someone lower down gets wind of your letter or what you're saying, right, and who has no idea, they're going to go looking. But the higher ups, who may actually understand what you're doing, they don't want the lower downs to go looking, because it'll expose the fraud. So just go, just forget about it. Just leave them alone, or they're obviously going to come up with some convoluted story so it doesn't stand out like dog shit. Like, oh, we've got one that thinks out here. We got one that can see. It's a chicken who's jumped over the fence and is running for his life in the woods, wants some freedom. That's how powerful this tool is. Just really think about it. Just because you got to role play, you got to go over, you got to study other people's recordings of speaking to police, going into court, and understand what's the magistrate going to say to you, what's the cop going to say to you, right? And then whatever they say, just take a moment. You don't have to answer them right then and there. Breathe, and then think, how can I answer using this method of negative averment? You say, well, since 2005, everyone's had to have registration plates. Oh, yeah, okay, I wasn't aware of that. I haven't come across any evidence which actually proves that. Are you able to help me out right now and show me where your legislation actually states that's applicable to me? Yeah. Oh, it's applicable to everyone. It's applicable here. Yeah, just show me that, please. Show me the subsection, wherever it is. I want to see that. I've actually got it printed out right here. Or pull out your phone, or get their phone, go online, look at the legislation. So I'm not arguing with you. No, mate, if you can show me that your legislation is applicable to me as a man, right, and if you're able to explain to me how it's also applicable when I have not agreed to it, I haven't consented, and I haven't contracted, and you aren't showing me the contract, you're not showing me the termination clause. If you're able to prove and explain all that, and explain how it's just and equitable, no worries, I'll go along with it. I'm happy to do that, right? It's like that you're also adding on that conditional acceptance. I'm happy to do what you're asking if you can prove this for me. Just show me that what you're doing is true, and I'll go along with it. No worries. But obviously, they never can. It's impossible for them to do that. Literally impossible. because they don't have a contract. They can't have authority over you as a man or woman. All right, I know that's a lot of repetition, but sometimes you need the repetition to get it into your skull. If you understand how powerful that system is, put something in the comments or let me know, or send it to a friend, because what else is better than that concept of negative averment? It's almost a standalone thing, and you don't need... Sure, well, it's good to know all these other things, what's going on, beneficiary, trust, estate, creditor, debtor, blah, 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 all this other fucking shit, all this other shit that may or may not be true. It doesn't matter, who cares? I just don't want anything to do with these bastards. And if you can use a line like that and just have them leave you alone in peace to live your fucking life and figure out what this reality is and then get the fuck out of here, get out of the entire Matrix system, oh, well, that will be a lot preferable, because I could keep on going for ages. Let's end it there. That's enough. Hope you've enjoyed. Bye-bye.